listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. We are here once again. Today, we have another show lined up for y'all. We have our special guest, Nismah Osman. She is a songwriter, a music producer, and she is going to tell us everything about her music journey. She has some big placements that she's going to be able to hopefully coach a lot of aspiring artists out there to maybe learn the ropes. So first and foremost, Nismah, thank you for your time. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm doing well. Yeah, glad to be here.
So tell us a little bit about your journey, because like I said, you have some big placements that you can talk about later, but what got you inspired into being a music producer, songwriter?
Yeah, so, I've been into music since I was young. I remember writing songs as young as 7 or 8. I always say they're terrible, but they were songs to me, So I just got bit by the music bug from a really young age, and I just kept kind of following that path. I taught myself how to play piano, taught myself how to play guitar, and then just started getting more serious into learning how to write songs and, and produce. And I went to my first real recording studio when I was in, I think, 7th grade, and recorded some songs there, and then started to teach myself music production. I bought my own little laptop and, digital audio workstation, and just made some beats at home. And that was early high school. And then from then I just kind of, one thing kept leading to another. I studied music in college, and here we are all these years later.
Now, let's talk about some of these placements that you got. And I know Sure. I'm kind of going fast, but I want to make sure I get this in the interview. Over 200 placements in film and TV shows. Kind of show us, tell the audience a little bit about some of the highlights of those placements.
Yeah, so I've been doing this for a while now. I've been doing it for 7 years, more full time, but I actually got my first placement when I was around 13, and that song has gotten placed many, many times. But so most recently, I've gotten placements in Love is Blind, Hollywood House Lift with Jeff Lewis. There was a new show on Apple TV Plus called Best Foot Forward, Temptation Island, a bunch of other ones that, I can't really list them all, but lots of really great, fun placements, Dancing with the Stars. I'm just trying to rack my brain. But yeah, I feel very fortunate to have had the success that I've had.
You also have been able to have people in the industry that you look up to. Is there a particular person that helped kind of navigate you throughout your songwriting, career, or at least show you some of the business side?
Are you talking about Cara Diaguardi?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm glad you went there. I feel very lucky to have studied with her. So, she, for those who don't know, she was a judge on American Idol, but more properly, she is the person behind some of the biggest pop songs in the world. And so I got a really great opportunity to go on a 3-day songwriting retreat with her and a bunch of other great writers in New York City. And we just wrote songs for 2 days, and she listened to them, critiqued them. She would come into our sessions, and it was just really an incredible opportunity to learn from her directly. She's such a legend. She's responsible for so much amazing pop music. And just learned a lot. It was really encouraging. She gave me some really good validation and encouraged me in my talent and my abilities. And I'm very grateful for that opportunity.
For someone like yourself that just had this kind of massive success is pretty awesome. And you allow people to contact you for artist development. You have a service, and that kind of explain to the audience how your service is a little bit unique and a little bit different than what they might see online.
Absolutely. I highly suggest that if you're looking for a new way or a way to increase your income or make any income from music, I highly suggest you look into sync licensing. And it is the thing that I teach on now, after kind of having gotten good at it. I'm now shifting some of my focus toward helping other artists achieve success. And so my program is unique in that I go all in with you. So it's a 1-year adventure together. I teach you everything there is to know about sync. So so sync licensing is the process of getting your music on film and TV. And so I teach you everything there is to know about sync licensing. Cause there's stuff to know. It's a little bit different songwriting process than writing music for yourself. And then I give you a year of support, a year of opportunities. So 4 times a year, I'm going to bring in, I do bring in licensing agencies that I have relationships with, and you get to pitch your music live to them, and hopefully they get signed into their catalogs, and they start pitching your music, and you start getting some paid placements. We do music feedback. You have a one-on-one chat-based coaching. So I basically hold your hand for a year to make sure you're successful. And I think one of the best parts is I guarantee that if you don't get at least two songs signed into a licensing agency by the end of your time with me, or by the end of your year, I give you the full program feedback. No questions asked. So, no risk. It's for those who are serious about making music, those who are serious about making progress, earning income from their music, learning what they need to do in order to be successful. And those are the kinds of people I help.
We're talking to our guest, Nismah Osman. She has a website that you can go to. It's nismahosman.com. When it comes to getting sync, a lot of people in the music industry may have heard of that before. Some may not even know how that is even started. Kind of define for the audience a little bit the separation of actually releasing music versus getting it synced. I know you gave a demo, but I'll let you have the floor.
Yeah. So totally different things. So releasing your music is just writing music that makes you happy, that you're happy with. And then you'll distribute it through a distributor, usually, DistroKid or CD Baby or TuneCore, and it'll go on to streaming services everywhere, Spotify, Apple Music, etc. But that's completely separate. Sync licensing is a whole different thing. I actually say that sync licensing is really the film, TV, and the ad industry that happens to use music. And how that process is, I'll give you the quick 411. So starting from kind of the top level, there is the production company who is producing, let's say, the TV show in this instance. So they will hire someone called a music supervisor, and the music supervisor's job is to source music for their project, so for their TV show. So how the music supervisor goes about doing that is they have a network of musicians and music licensing agencies that they work with. Now, a music licensing agency is a company that acts as the middle person between the musicians, so you and me, and the music supervisors, and their job is to curate a high quality library of music that works for film and TV. And then when they get an opportunity or an ask from the music supervisor, they will pitch songs that they feel work or would work. And hopefully, one of your songs is included in that list that they pitch and is selected. And so that's kind of where we come in, is we make music and pitch it to these licensing agencies, and hopefully they accept it into their catalog and pitch it on your behalf. And so that's kind of the piece that I bring in my program, is I bring the licensing agencies to you so that you can pitch your music directly to them and hopefully start forming some of those relationships.
When it comes to artists trying to brand themselves, I mean, we have heard it from, I don't know, probably every single person on the internet. But in your own opinion, what is it when it comes to the definition of actually building a brand for the artist?
I think it comes down to being brutally, brutally honest. I think people try too hard. I think they overthink it, and then I think they end up sounding and looking like everybody else, and it's not authentic because you're not anybody else, right? So I think personal brand is really just knowing who you are and being comfortable with that, being proud of that, and then just kind of learning how to communicate that in a way that other people can resonate with, and also writing really great songs.
And we're going to get into that. That's going to be a good point to make when it comes to balancing passion versus running a business. Why is it important for artists or just anyone in the creative arts of music to understand the difference between both passion and actually turning it into the actual business?
Yeah, such a great question. And one that I think is kind of the difference between people who find success and people who don't. The reason I think business is so important is because business is the system or the mechanism by which you learn how to turn your passion into an income, right? So music is no different. Just because you happen to be in love with the process and it feels like fun doesn't mean that you automatically are going to be able to earn income from that, right? It's no different than if you were to open a pizza shop. If you open a pizza shop because you love making pizza, you still have to learn how to market and sell that pizza, right? So it's no different when it comes to making music. It's just that I think a lot of creatives, a lot of musicians, they don't enjoy or understand the business aspect. And so it feels like a lot of work, stuff that they don't really want to learn, or they feel like they don't have to learn. And you can choose to kind of follow that path, but you're going to run into a lot of issues because if you don't have those skills to really market and sell your music, then you're likely going to have a limited reach. It's just kind of how it works.
And when it comes to music marketing, which do you think is easier, trying to market a pitch for a license, sync license, or trying to release and promote a new album?
It depends on what budget you're working with, but if you're working with no budget, then sync licensing, because sync licensing not only pays you money, but you get exposure. People watch these shows and these ads and these movies, right? Thousands, if not millions of people. So, if you get your song in a commercial or a TV show that there are thousands of eyes, and, there are people who are going to be interested in the song that's playing, and that's why there are things like Shazam. And, I think Siri now has Shazam built into it. It's because there's a need, because people hear music they like, they want to listen to it again. And so it's actually kind of free advertising if you think about it that way. And you get paid. So, it's for the reverse. You're getting paid to advertise your music. So, if you have no budget or you have no marketing experience, I always recommend that path. If you do have money and, you have the resources to kind of really push an album, then I would say look into learning how to run Facebook ads and generating leads that way. But that's a whole different conversation.
This is Refocus Radio, talking to our guest, Nismah Osman. You can go to her website, nismahosman.com. When you look at the industry, it's always changing. It's like, man, this changed last year. It was like 10 different ways to do it this year. Mm-hmm. Going back to your songwriting, what, in your humble opinion, makes a songwriting a success?
Again, I would say the same thing I said when it comes to building a brand. Honesty, There was a really great quote I heard. I can't remember who I heard it from, but it basically goes like this. When you're writing songs, you're not saying anything new because everything has already been said. But what you can do is say something that's already been said, but in a new way, right? And so if you are honest in your songwriting, these are going to be themes that have been told before, but they'll resonate with people because they're honest, right? Your struggle, your experience, your pain, whatever it is, or your triumph, people resonate with that. But how you get to that next level of like, okay, wow, this is a great song, you have to figure out a new, interesting way to say it. And that is by using songwriting techniques that are known to kind of pull people in. So by using really interesting concepts and really cleverly designed rhymes or rhyming schemes, being what I call an intentional songwriter. So you're not just writing words, the first things that come to your mind and the first melody that comes to your mind. No, you're sitting down and every choice you make, every lyric you choose, every melody you choose is intentional. And it's based on your gut feeling. It's based on the skills you've amassed as a songwriter over time, if any. And it's based on how true and how real it feels and how well it's communicating what you're trying to communicate in a song. So at least that's how I approach my songwriting.
And let's give the audience an example, a little teaser, because they want to hire you for the rest of the secrets. But pick a placement that you had, anyone that comes to mind, and kind of give us a little mini backstory of how that came about and if it was even a strategic plan for you to get placed.
That's a great question. I have to think about that. I mean, I would say the first song that comes to mind, and I'm in an effort to not overthink it, was the song I got placed on the Apple TV Plus show. And it's a song called Unstoppable. And I was writing that song in an effort to get it placed. I didn't know that it would get placed, and that I wrote it actually years before it got placed on that show. But I wanted to write a song that would help people to feel like they were unstoppable. And so I leaned into that, triumphant sort of place, and I was feeling really inspired. And I wrote lines that I felt were reflective of that. Most of the lyrics I can't pull from the top of my head right now because I wrote that song so long ago, but the chorus basically just goes, I am unstoppable. I want it. And there's like a repeat, like an echo. And then it just repeats, I am unstoppable. I got it. I am unstoppable. And then it's so simple, but powerful. And coupled with the melodies, I really feel like it made it have that effect of helping the listener feel like, I am unstoppable. And the scene that it was placed in was really cute and special. It was like a scene of a kid trying to play basketball, and he has a physical disability. And so it was just really beautiful that they paired that song with that scene of this kid trying to do his thing despite all odds.
When it comes to music production and songwriting, would you recommend that people are just used to doing the music side start writing, and vice versa, someone who's used to just only writing songs start producing a little bit more?
I would say if you want to get into sync licensing, I would say leverage what you're good at first and then explore other avenues. And that's because sync licensing it's a whole new playing field, right? It's a whole new game. You have to learn a lot. And so when you're starting something new, it can feel really overwhelming. And I find it helps people to know that they can start with what they're already good at. And then once they get comfortable making music for sync licensing with what they're good at, then they can start to branch out. And especially when you're getting started, you want to partner up with people who know what they're doing in the thing that is not your strength. So if you're a songwriter and you don't produce, it'll just take you a lot longer to find success and get those placements if you try to start producing right away. And honestly, that's what I did. And I had to learn, and I had to kind of make those mistakes until I learned, all right, maybe I should partner up. Right. And then that's when the success started coming in, because I could turn out more faster by leveraging what I was good at and partnering with somebody who was good at what I couldn't do. So that's what I would say.
Someone listening to this right now and they're like, man, like I want to like book her like yesterday, but
do it.
Maybe they're new. Say they're new into producing or let's just say that. What would you say are some of the building blocks for someone who develops their craft and their unique sound in order for them to raise eyebrows?
So the steps to take to become better at songwriting. Listen to a lot of different music and reverse engineer what you think is good about it. And then try to replicate it. So I'm not saying try to write those same songs, but try to break down the song to its simplest pieces, its simplest base elements, and understand why they work, right? And then try to get the principles out of that and infuse those principles into your own writing. That's the first thing I would do. The second thing is get feedback from people, and not your mom or your dad or your friend, people who are going to be nice to you because they don't want to hurt your feelings. There's a time and a place for that, but it's not in trying to find success, right? We need feedback that's might feel a little uncomfortable, but is true, right? So find somebody. I'll give you feedback, but if it's not me, find someone who will give you honest, clear, constructive feedback on your songwriting. And that's going to help you learn what your strengths and weaknesses are, where you need to work and where you need to kind of practice a little bit more. And then the third thing is just keep doing it as often as you can. Keep writing, keep writing, keep writing. The more you do it, it's like a muscle, the better you get at it, and it just compounds.
Once again, listen on Refocus Radio, talking to our guest today, Nismah Osman. You go to her website, nismahosman.com. Someone listen to this as we wrap up. So many people are in the game. So many different sounds are in the game. You've been in this game for 17 years. What would you say you learned and how that helped you the most to continue to extend your longevity in the music industry?
Yeah. What I've learned, probably the biggest lessons that I've learned have to do with defining success for yourself and staying grounded within that. Because success in the music industry, it's a very wide spectrum. You have the Taylor Swifts of the world, right? And then you have the Cara DioGuardis who are behind the scenes, who most people wouldn't blink an eye at in public, but yet who are responsible for so much true success in the music industry. And then you have everybody in between, right? And it's being careful not to hold yourself to either of those extremes or any of the extremes in order to feel successful. So defining success for yourself. And that helps you, that has helped me continue to enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, because it's really easy to feel once you have success, okay, what's the next thing? And what's the next thing? And just to keep going and keep going. And, the grass is always greener, right, on the other side. And it's this trap that you can get into until, maybe one day you are the Taylor Swift of the world or a Taylor Swift, and you're still having this yearning because you've gotten into this habit of telling yourself that it's never enough, right? So just that process of getting really clear on defining what success is for you and staying grounded in that and allowing that to shift and change as you grow in life and as you change in life. Because one other thing is I've noticed as I've gotten older, my priorities have changed, my desires have changed, and I'm just allowing that, making space for that and kind of revisioning things with those new truths of mine in mind.
When you are able to work with your clients, are there any patterns that kind of stick out with the clients you work with, and as far as the light coming on and them understanding the business more?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one thing that I notice a lot that comes up for people is they are surprised at that overnight success actually truly is a myth. and that you have to, no matter what you're doing, no matter what path you're taking, you have to stick at it in order to see results. Avoiding the shiny object syndrome, so to speak. And it's one thing that I've had to help my clients overcome is, the novelty of something, once it wears off, that's when the real work begins. And I've had to work with them to stick through that process and stay in the game, stay in the process, trust the process in order to actually see results. And so if you're of the mindset where you already know that you're going to need to do, put the pedal to the metal and do the work, then you're already ahead of, I would say, 90% of your peers.
Be ready to talk to someone with 200 plus placements and you want to get your game on and have someone who's reliable. I suggest you go to nismahosman.com, click on her artist development tab and book her today. Once again, I want to thank you, Nismah, for your time.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.